Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and welcome to the Willpower Cup, this brand new Great League meta where only Psychic, Fighting, and Dark types are allowed, and Gardevoir is banned. And in the Willpower Cup, XL Pawniard is going to be an absolute beast, due to the fact that it can beat other Dark types as well as Psychic types. For the team, I tried out an XL Pawniard Air/Mandibuzz core, and then put Sableye as my save switch, since it can also beat Fighting types. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out XL Pawniard in action in the Willpower Cup. Hopping into the first match, leading Pawniard into Alolan Grimer. This is a favorable lead for Pawniard. These neutral Fury Cutters add up quite a bit, and so will the Iron Head. Iron Head is able to land, and the Grimer is already in the red health. All charge moves they throw are resisted here, so I'm going to let that through. It's a crunch. Unfortunately, my defense is lowered. In comes Drapion. Drapion is going to fire off the Aqua Tail right away. I'm going to commit the shield, and then I'm actually going to be baiting here, so I have easily enough for the Iron Head. I'm going to bait with the Night Slash. Night Slash gets the shield. I farm up, switch, and then catch onto Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is an absolute unit, so I really like catching moves that were aimed at the Pawniard, which is a bit glassier, onto the Mandibuzz, because Mandibuzz can just tank charge moves for days. They're firing off Aqua Tail after Aqua Tail. Not the strongest move by any means. They're going to bring in the Alolan Grimer. I overfarm a bit, and then I am going to be firing off the Aerial Ace to get rid of the Grimer. So Grimer is now out of the picture. They still do have the Drapion. And in the back, they have a Shadow Skuntank, so they are running a triple Dark Poison team. Aerial Ace is able to land, and honestly, Pawniard can finish this game for me. So I'm going to bring in Pawniard, go straight for the Iron Head. Iron Head gets the shield, Skuntank continues to farm, but Pawniard is just too spammy, getting to another Iron Head. That will be taking out the Skuntank. Back in comes the Drapion. Drapion not able to farm down. XL Pawniard, just an absolute menace, taking out the Drapion and securing the win. Great lead in the next match, Pawniard into Hisuian Qwilfish. Opponent save switches into Scrafty, and I have a great answer available with Air/Mandibuzz. Aerial Ace, not the strongest move, of course, but the Air Slashes will add up enough that over time I will be able to get it into Aerial Ace range. They go for the power-up punch, and I return fire with the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace does get the shield, so it's looking like my opponent is going to try and make a play for switch advantage, but if they want switch, they're going to have to give up both shields to do so. They're going to fire off another power-up punch before I'm able to get to my Aerial Ace, but this is not going to be enough to KO. So I'm going to let that through and fire off Aerial Ace number 2. This way, if they want switch, which they do, they're going to have to give me both of their shields. So unfortunately, I have lost switch advantage, but thankfully, I do have both of their shields. Unfortunately, the game does lag a little bit here. Thankfully, it does unfreeze, and my opponent is still going to be able to get off their charge move. I do shield up the foul play, and I farm down. They bring in the Hisuian Qwilfish, and I'm going to be going for the return. This is going to hurt. Hisuian Qwilfish, not the tankiest, nearly taking it out, and Qwilfish continues to farm. I'm staying in this matchup. I let it through. It is just the Aqua Tail, and in the back, they have Medicham, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it to a return. So now this is Pawniard's worst nightmare, going up against the Pokemon that hits for double super effective counter damage. I commit the shield. It's a power-up punch. This is not good. Counters, shredding the pawn. Pawniard able to get to the Iron Head. Is this going to be enough to KO? Yes, it is. In comes the Qwilfish, and we're able to get the win. Picking up a tough lead in the next match, Pawniard into Medicham. I'm going to save switch into Sableye, and my opponent responds with a Charm Meowstic. Now, Meowstic is hitting me for super effective damage, but I'm hitting them for super effective damage in return, since it is a Psychic type. They go for the Charm down, but Sableye able to reach a second foul play. This will KO if they let it through, which they do, and I'm able to take switch back from the Charmer. In comes Mandibuzz, and Mandibuzz is going to be able to take care of this Medicham for me. Ice Punches, not going to be doing a lot of damage, whereas these Aerial Aces will definitely start to add up after the Air Slash damage. They're firing off Ice Punch number 2. I'm going to let that through. In the back, they have Alolan Raticate, and unfortunately for Alolan Raticate, their moveset is completely walled by Pawniard. This thing is just such an incredible core breaker. Unfortunately, they do get the defense drop, and I overfarm a bit too much as they're able to reach another crunch. I am going to be committing the shield there, farming up, and then firing off the Iron Head. This Iron Head will do a lot of damage if it lands, which it does. From here, I can just Fury Cutter down and leave with double Night Slash loaded to help with taking out the Medicham. First Night Slash is going to get the shield. Second Night Slash is going to be able to land. This is not enough to KO, but I should have a move loaded on the Mandibuzz, and this Aerial Ace will be safely taking out the Medicham and securing the win. Great lead in the next match, Pawniard into Sableye. Opponent probably going to want to switch out of this lead, and they do into a Malamar. I'm going to farm up, switch, and then catch the superpower onto my Mandibuzz. As you can see, those Fury Cutters absolutely shredded the Malamar, and since they've already debuffed themselves, I can now go for an incredibly aggressive farm down. They're just going to fire off superpower after superpower, but to do so, they continue to lower their attack and defense, meaning that my air slashes are going to continue to do more damage, while they end up doing less damage with their subsequent charge moves. They're going to fire off superpower number 4, perfectly fine by me, as I'm able to get the farm down. They bring in Sableye, and I'm just going to start firing off foul play after foul play. First one, able to land. Firing off foul play number 2. This is not going to be enough to KO, so Sableye can let this go if they want to, and that's exactly what they're going to do. In the back, they have Medicham, and unfortunately, I just have the perfect alignment in this game, as there's just not a lot my opponent can do in this moment. They're going to fire off an Ice Punch. Ice Punch will do some solid chip damage, but unfortunately the Shadow Claws plus the foul plays are just going to prove to be incredibly deadly. Medicham trying to play out of this. This Ice Punch is not going to be enough to KO, so I actually don't have to shield it. I'm going to let this through, go for another foul play here, and my opponent probably going to be committing that final shield because they know Medicham is the key to victory in this moment. In comes Pawniard. Opponent makes a nice catch of the Night Slash onto the Sableye. I'm able to take out the Sableye. In comes Medicham, but Medicham not going to be able to get rid of Pawniard. Pawniard, that Fury Cutter is just so spammy. Night Slash will be taking out the Medicham, and that is a good game. Terrible lead in the next match, Pawniard into another Medicham. I'm going to save switch into Sableye, and my opponent responds with a Mandibuzz. So far, things could not be going much worse for me. I'm going to fire off the return. Return is going to do quite a lot of damage to this Mandibuzz, but unfortunately, my opponent was fairly fast on their switch in, so Mandibuzz is going to be able to outpace my Sableye. As you see, I am going to fall just short of getting to that second return, as Mandibuzz is going to be able to fire off the foul play and take me out. However, Pawniard fully walls Mandibuzz, one of the many reasons why it's an absolutely incredible pick. So my plan is to shield nothing, and then just to farm up a bunch of energy on Pawniard. So I'm going to farm up 100 energy, bring in Mandibuzz, and in the back, they have Sableye. I may actually have a chance here, because my Mandibuzz core breaks the rest of their team. I'm going to fire off the foul play. Foul play gets the shield. They do have enough for a return here. Tough decision to make. I commit the last second shield, and I get baited with a foul play. You hate to see it. I'm going to fire off another foul play. This is going to be getting the Sableye incredibly low. Opponent commits the final shield. They are really trying to protect the Sableye. Again, tough decision. Last second shield, and I get double baited. You hate to see it. I go for the snipe with the Night Slash, and I think this should be Night Slash range. Night Slash, barely not enough to KO, and they bring in the Medicham. I definitely should have gone for the Iron Head then, because that was not enough to KO, and I believe they have a return stored. I fire off Night Slash number 2. That gets the Medicham low. Medicham able to farm me down and outpace the Mandibuzz, and this Ice Punch is going to put me into return range. I'm going to fire this Aerial Ace off right away. At this point, I just have to hope they don't have the return banked on the Sableye. Opponent brings in the Sableye, and they have a charge move. Is it the return? Yes, it is. And that is a good game. Tricky lead in the next match, Pawniard into Galarian Rapidash. Opponent save switches into Obstagoon, and I respond with Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz does have a pretty nice matchup here, as these air slashes add up quite a bit over time. They fire off the cross chop, and I'm going to immediately return fire with the Aerial Ace. They will comfortably be able to survive this move, but it will put it into a range where a second Aerial Ace will be lethal. They're going to continue to keep spamming out these cross chops, and as you can see, they have to fire off quite a few before Mandibuzz even gets into the yellow health. They're firing off another cross chop. I am going to be firing off my Aerial Ace here, and it's decision time for the Obstagoon. Do they want to try and make a play for switch advantage? They do not, as I'm able to farm them down. They bring in a Rapidash. I'm going to pivot into Sableye to prevent a farm down, and in the back, they have Scrafty. No baiting here. I'm going straight for the return. Return, able to land, and that is absolutely massive. I'm going to let this go. Opponent goes for a power-up punch, and that's perfectly fine with me. They're going to fire off another charge move, and I have a tough decision ahead of me here. I will commit the shield. Unfortunately, it is another power-up punch. I believe this time it can only be a power-up punch. So I'm going to let this go. But the important thing is that I'm going to leave with quite a lot of energy to threaten the Rapidash. This Rapidash does take neutral from Dark-type attacks, so a foul play is going to hurt quite a bit. I'm firing off foul play number 2 here. Are they willing to give the final shield? Yes, they are. In comes Pawniard. Decision time. Are they baiting? I commit the shield. It's the play rough, and that is big. That will allow me to comfortably reach the Iron Head. Iron Head will be easily taking out the Rapidash, and that is a good game. Terrible lead in the next match, Pawniard into Incineroar. I save switch into Sableye, but unfortunately this is a Snarl Incineroar, which means that it's going to be able to spam out charge moves like crazy. They go for the Flame Charge. That does quite a bit of damage. I'm going to bait with a foul play. Incineroar, not the tankiest. I'm hoping for a shield, but my opponent calls my bait and then brings in Shadow Machamp. So unfortunately, 2 counters to Pawniard so far. I fire off the return. Return does get the shield, and Machamp is able to farm down. Now Machamp does have Rock Slide, so it can pretty effectively hit both the Pawniard and the Mandibuzz. I commit the shield, and I do get baited with a Cross Chop. This means they are going to be able to reach the Rock Slide, so I am going to be double shielding my Mandibuzz and attempting to farm down. Mandibuzz does get the farm down, and I do leave with a nice amount of energy. In the back, they have Medicham, so at the very least, they are very, very weak to the Mandibuzz. Aerial Ace is able to land. I continue to farm, but they're going to be able to reach the Ice Punch. Ice Punch not going to be lethal from this range, but will do quite a lot of damage. I'm going to fire off the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace will get them quite low, so we could see a shield here, and my opponent is going to commit the shield. I farm up, I barely get outpaced, and now it's all up to Pawniard to try and close out this game. In comes Pawniard. These counters absolutely shredding Pawniard. Opponent goes for a catch onto Incineroar, and I fire off the Iron Head. Iron Head gets them low. Pawniard able to farm down. Can Pawniard get to the Night Slash? We cannot. Medicham reaches a charge move. Ice Punch will be taking me out, and we lose a very close game. Hopping into the final match, leading Pawniard into Shadow Lugia, an incredibly cool spice pick. And these Dragon Tails, despite being resisted, still do add up quite a bit. My opponent is going to save switch into Mandibuzz. I'm going to fire off the Iron Head, farm up more, and then try and go for a catch onto my own. So I farm up, switch, and then catch onto my own Mandibuzz. As I mentioned earlier, this is one of my favorite plays to make when running this core, is catching charge moves aimed at the Pawniard onto my Mandibuzz. Because Mandibuzz is just absolutely absurdly tanky. They're going to fire off Aerial Ace after Aerial Ace, but I had a pretty significant HP advantage coming into this matchup, so that is perfectly fine by me. I'm just going to fire off another Aerial Ace, and this honestly might be farm down range. So you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to let this go and then try and commit to the air slash farm down so I can leave with a ton of energy loaded. I continue to farm and I'm able to get the farm down. That's big. They're going to bring in the Lugia. I accidentally overfarm and I end up losing CMP. I'll be honest, didn't know who won CMP there. I guess it's Lugia. Good to know. I'm going to fire off the Foul Play. Foul Play does quite a bit of damage. I don't want to take any additional Dragon Tails, so I fire off Foul Play number 2 right back to back. And in the back, they have Toxicroak, and this is a little scary. However, I still do have Sableye, and Toxicroak is pretty glassy. These Shadow Claws are going to absolutely shred Toxicroak, so at this point, I'm just fully committing to the Shadow Claw farm down. My opponent has 2 shields, so it's not worth my time to throw a charge move. I'm just going to keep going for the farm down. I will commit the shield, Bud Bomb, Toxicroak gets farmed down, and we're able to secure the win. All in all, I do believe that Pawniard and Air Slash Mandibuzz is going to be the core to beat in the Willpower Cup. The team that I ran is a bit weak to Charm, so if you're wanting to try something a little stronger to Charm, you could definitely sub out Sableye for something like Skuntank, as Skuntank does take neutral from Charm instead of super effective. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.